What happens when two entertainment legends clash live on television over something so personal it changes everything? Buckle up, because what unfolded between Dolly Parton and Queen Latifah during what was supposed to be a warm, friendly interview quickly turned into one of the most explosive moments ever captured on daytime TV. This wasn't your typical celebrity disagreement. This was raw. This was real. And it was absolutely unforgettable. Before we dive into every jaw-dropping second, make sure you hit that subscribe button and drop a comment below. Because trust me, by the end of this story, you're going to have an opinion. It all started like any other afternoon taping of the Queen Latifah show. The lights were warm, the audience was buzzing, and Queen Latifah was in her element, smiling, confident, ready to welcome one of the most beloved icons in music history. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the one and only Dolly Parton. Thunderous applause fills the studio as Dolly walks out, beaming that signature megawatt smile. She's dazzling, her rhinestone jacket shimmering under the lights, her blonde hair perfectly coiffed, and her charm lighting up the entire set. Queen Latifah rises to greet her, and the two women hug warmly as the audience cheers. On the surface, everything looks picture perfect. Two queens from different worlds, sitting down for a friendly chat about life, music, and legacy. "Dolly, honey, it's been way too long since you've graced us with your presence." Queen Latifah begins with that signature charisma. "You look absolutely stunning, as always." Dolly laughs sweetly, brushing a hand over her glittering jacket. "Well, aren't you just the sweetest thing, Dana? You know I always love coming on your show. You make everyone feel so welcome." The audience eats it up. The energy is light, full of laughter and admiration. But within minutes, things begin to shift, slowly, subtly, like a storm brewing under a clear sky. Queen Latifah smiles and leans forward, voice soft and genuine. "Now, Dolly, I have to say your career has been nothing short of incredible. Music, movies, business, you've done it all. But I want to ask something a little deeper." The audience quiets, sensing something interesting is coming. "Throughout all your success, you've always had this image, America's sweetheart, the glamorous, kind, country icon everyone adores. But I'm curious, is that really who you are behind closed doors? Or is there more to Dolly Parton that the world doesn't see?" It's a fair question, the kind talk show hosts ask all the time. But the look in Dolly's eyes changes just for a split second. Her smile stays bright, but there's a flicker of something. Discomfort, maybe irritation. "Well, honey," she says, still smiling, "what you see is what you get with me. I've never been one to put on airs or pretend to be something I'm not. I've been the same person since I was a little girl growing up poor in the Smoky Mountains." Queen Latifah nods thoughtfully, but she's not ready to let go of the topic. "That's beautiful," she says. "But I've always wondered, don't you ever get tired of being on all the time? The wigs, the rhinestones, the makeup, the image. When do you get to just be Dolly, no stage lights, no spotlight, no show?" It's a probing question, curious, not cruel. But it lands differently. Dolly's posture stiffens ever so slightly. Her hands, one with those famous jeweled nails, grip the arms of her chair a little tighter. "I appreciate your curiosity, Dana," she replies, her tone still sweet but cooler now. "But I think you might be misunderstanding something. This isn't a costume. This isn't a mask I put on for the cameras. This is me." The audience goes still. Queen Latifah quickly raises a hand, trying to clarify. "Oh no, I didn't mean it like that. I just meant everyone needs a break sometimes, even someone as fabulous as you." But Dolly's not smiling now. "You know what I think, sweetheart?" she says. "I think you're making assumptions about me based on how I look. You see big hair, glitter, and makeup, and you think it must be fake. But let me tell you something. I've been dressing like this since I was old enough to pick out my own clothes. This isn't for the cameras. This is who I am." The tension in the studio thickens. The audience is silent, every eye glued to the two women. Queen Latifah leans back slightly, trying to de-escalate. "I completely understand. I didn't mean to question your authenticity, Dolly. I just wanted to explore the human side behind the performer. Like me, I have my Queen Latifah persona, and then there's Dana, the woman who loves sweatpants and quiet nights at home." Dolly lets out a small, sharp laugh. "Well, isn't that precious?" she says. "You get to be Dana in sweatpants, but somehow I don't get to be Dolly in rhinestones. You think your relaxed side is more real than mine? A murmur ripples through the audience. Dolly, that's not what I'm saying, Queen Latifah insists. No, Dolly shoots back. Because it sure sounds like it. You're implying that being comfortable means toning down who you are. That being natural means being less. But honey, this is my natural. The wigs, the glitter, it's all me. I'm not hiding behind it. I'm shining through it. The crowd begins to applaud softly, but Queen Latifah isn't done. Dolly, she says calmly, I ask these questions to everyone. I've asked rock stars, rappers, actors, everyone, about what's real versus what's for show. It's not about gender or looks. It's about connection. Really? Dolly says, her voice sharp now. Because when those rock stars wear leather and chains, nobody asks if it's authentic. But when a woman dresses up, suddenly it's an act. You'd never ask a man if his hat was fake. Queen Latifah takes a deep breath, maintaining composure. That's not fair. Dolly, you're taking this in a direction it doesn't need to go. Oh, I think it's exactly where it needs to go, Dolly replies. Her southern sweetness now laced with steel. Because I've spent my whole career being underestimated, and by men, by the media, and apparently by other women who should know better. The air in the room feels electric. Now, hold on, Queen Latifah says, standing slightly taller in her chair. I've been nothing but respectful. I admire you, and I wanted this to be an open, honest conversation. Dolly tilts her head, eyes narrowing just a touch. Respectful? You call it respectful to question who I am? To imply that my look, my brand, my identity is some kind of performance? I never said that. Queen Latifah snaps, her voice rising. You're twisting my words. And you're twisting me, Dolly fires back. You're trying to fit me into your version of authenticity. But I don't need your approval to be real. The audience gasps. The tension is thick enough to cut with a knife. Queen Latifah stands up now, matching Dolly's energy. You know what? I've interviewed hundreds of people, and I've never had someone turn an innocent question into a personal attack. Oh, bless your heart, Dolly says, standing up too. Maybe that's because most people are used to being talked down to. I'm not. Their voices rise, the atmosphere crackling. The cameras are still rolling. This isn't just an interview anymore. It's a showdown. Dolly, Queen Latifah says tightly, I invited you here because I admire what you've built. You've earned every bit of your success, but I also think people want to see the woman behind the icon. Well, here she is, Dolly says firmly. She's standing right in front of you, rhinestones, wig and all. The woman behind the icon is the icon. The room erupts in murmurs. Queen Latifah takes a deep breath. You're making this harder than it needs to be. And you're making this ruder than it should have been, Dolly fires back. I've done interviews with Barbara Walters, Oprah, Diane Sawyer, and never once have I been talked to like I'm some kind of act. I wasn't talking down to you. Queen Latifah protests. I was trying to connect with you. Then maybe you should learn how to connect without condescending. Dolly snaps. There's a long, charged silence. Finally, Queen Latifah says, you know what? If you want to walk out, go ahead. But you're proving my point about not being able to handle tough questions. That does it. Dolly straightens up, her expression cool, composed, but furious. Tough questions? Honey, I've answered questions about my body, my marriage, my money, my faith, and I've handled them all with grace. What you just did wasn't tough journalism. It was disrespect, dressed up as curiosity. She reaches down, grabs her sparkly purse, and slings it over her shoulder. Maybe I shouldn't be doing interviews anymore, she says quietly. If this is what passes for professionalism these days. The audience gasps. Dolly, come on, Queen Latifah says, her voice softening. Don't do this. We can fix this. Dolly looks at her, disappointment etched across her face. You can't fix something that was broken the moment respect left the room. Queen Latifah tries again. You're walking away from a conversation. That's not how legends act. Dolly turns, her rhinestones catching the light. No, sweetheart. I'm walking away from disrespect. There's a difference. She starts toward the exit. The audience is frozen, unsure whether to clap, gasp, or stay silent. The tension is unbearable. Dolly, Queen Latifah calls out. This doesn't have to end like this. Dolly pauses at the edge of the stage. Without turning around, she raises one manicured hand in a small wave. Yes, Dana, she says softly. It does. And with that, she walks out. her heels clicking against the studio floor, her back straight, her dignity intact. The cameras follow her until she disappears behind the curtain, leaving Queen Latifah standing alone on her own stage. The audience doesn't move. For a long moment, Queen Latifah just stands there, staring at the empty chair where Dolly sat. The silence is deafening. Finally, she exhales, forcing a small, tense smile. "Well," she says to the stunned crowd, "that was unexpected." A few awkward chuckles ripple through the room, but no one really laughs. Everyone knows they've just witnessed something extraordinary. Two powerful women, both legends, both used to being in control, colliding in a way that exposed something raw and very real. Backstage, sources later claimed Dolly was visibly shaken but composed. She reportedly told her team, "I don't do disrespect. Not from anyone. I've worked too hard for too long to have anyone question who I am." Meanwhile, Queen Latifah ended the show early that day, thanking the audience and reminding them that live TV can be unpredictable. Clips of the confrontation went viral within hours. Social media exploded, some siding with Dolly, saying she stood up for herself against unfair questioning. Others defended Queen Latifah, arguing she was just doing her job as an interviewer, asking the tough questions that make for great television. But no matter which side you're on, one thing's for sure, this interview changed the game. Because what the world saw that day wasn't just an argument between two stars. It was a clash of eras, of philosophies, of identities. It was the moment when authenticity, image, and respect collided under the bright glare of the spotlight. Dolly Parton, the glittering queen of country music, walked off that stage not defeated, but defiant. And Queen Latifah, the commanding host and entertainment, a powerhouse, stood her ground, proving she wasn't afraid to challenge even the most beloved icons. Both women left that studio changed. The audience left speechless. And television history gained one more unforgettable moment, one that reminded everyone watching that behind every smile, every sparkle, and every perfectly rehearsed line, there's a real person fighting to be understood.